Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're live. We're in the studio, so get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. And the big news this morning is Thomas Tuchel has signed a new deal. He's going to be England manager, I think, to 2028, was it? So basically, he's not going to be Manchester United manager next season. There was a lot of talk, wasn't there, about him being the United manager after the World Cup. I think he was actually the favourite. So we're going to be getting into that. We're also going to be getting into some of the fallout for what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said last night that's upset a lot of people, and there's been pushback from the likes of Andy Burnham, from the Prime Minister. A lot of Manchester United fans are visibly and rightly upset at what he said, so we'll be getting into that as well. Plus, where would we be without a cheeky little transfer rumour? Don't worry, we've got you covered on that front as well, so make sure you're hitting like, share and subscribe. Right, let's start with Thomas Tuchel. So, Jonathan Northcroft, who writes for The Times, has said Thomas Tuchel to stay as England manager until 2028. Very succinct. There you go. That's all you need to know. So it looks like there you go. There's a little bit more detail here. Mark Douglas, I think he writes for the iPaper. So he's saying that who's ringing me here? It's Adam McCullough's ringing me. Right? How many times does he have to know? Look, shall I answer it? Yeah. Hang on a minute. Oh, he's video calling me. Is this happening or what? Adam McCullough, right? He's video calling me. It's not connecting. He's probably on his way here to the studio. So we are going to be hearing from Adam McCullough later on. But no, it's not connecting. Sorry, Macca. I do have to move on if it's not going to connect. Unfortunately, we won't be having a video call with Adam McCullough on my news. But we'll probably hear from him in about 5 minutes when he rings back. So yeah, as I was saying, back to the Tuchel story. So Mark Douglas there saying, as you can see, Thomas Tuchel reportedly to stay on with England until 2028. Saves a lot of speculation about Eddie Howe and the job in the summer. Interesting approach from FA. If World Cup goes awry and England haven't beaten or played anyone decent in his reign so far, that's going to put them under pressure ahead of 2028, spooked by the jobs that'll be vacant in the summer, ? So he's suggesting there that maybe the FA are looking at going, look, United could offer Tuchel a job in the summer. City, if Pep moves on, there's rumours, I don't know how strong they are, might look at Thomas Tuchel. Other clubs might look at Thomas Tuchel. Even someone like Arne Slot at Liverpool. Is his job fully secure if Liverpool don't get Champions League football next season? Probably not. So there's a lot of clubs that could potentially come in for Thomas Tuchel. So the FA are thinking, right, let's get him nailed down now till 2028. So if United or City or Liverpool or anyone comes in for him, he ain't going anywhere. Now, I don't care about City or Liverpool. I do care about Manchester United. And obviously the sort of the obvious news from that is he ain't going to be the next Manchester United manager. Now, he was, I think, the favourite. So he was one of the favourites for the United job. So who does that leave? Well, you're looking at a few other candidates. Obviously, Michael Carrick, who's done very well as caretaker. You can't rule him out. If Manchester United carry on doing well under Carrick, if we get Champions League football, do the board look at it and go, here's a guy who has taken over, turned the club around. If you say turn the club around, it's a bit stretched, but moved us forward, hasn't he? He's impressed everyone, as you can see it there in the Metro. Then he could perhaps be given the job on a permanent basis. Other names sort of being suggested. Roberto De Zerbi, I think, is another one. I don't know how likely that is. I think he just left Marseille. I mean, it's not the end of the world leaving Marseille, and I don't think he did particularly badly there. He did quite well, even though they didn't get through to the knockout stage of the Champions League. I don't know. I'm not mad keen on De Zerbi. I'm just not. I know he's sort of like a popular choice amongst a lot of people. I don't know, just not for me. Maurizio Pochettino is another one. He's all right. He did relatively well at Spurs, kept him competitive in the Champions League spaces, or places I should say, for a number of years, and also got him to a Champions League final. You can't ignore all that. He's a decent option. Oliver Glasner, not for me. I'm a bit underwhelmed by Oliver Glasner. And it's not just the whole, he plays free at the back and so did Ruben Amorim, so we don't want to get him. I don't mind what formation you play if you're successful and if you're good enough for Manchester United. I just think with Glasner, he did well at Frankfurt. I think did they win the Europa under him? Sort of broke the Spanish monopoly on that one, didn't he? Then he's done well at Palace, won the FA Cup. Can't ignore that. Football should be about winning trophies. But they have fallen off a bit of a cliff this season, haven't they? Even last night, weren't they 2-0 up at home to Burnley and they lost 3-2? So he's having one, and you might go, well, he's having one because he's leaving, and that's why he's the sort of the performances have gone to the dogs or whatever. But it's just it's not really putting him in the shop window, is it? It's not really underlying the idea that he should be the next Manchester United. The one name there that I like is Luis Enrique. He's the one that everyone would want, really, innit? I think there's some people who just want Michael Carrick because they love Michael Carrick as a player, they love what he's done at Manchester United as a manager, and I think he's got a bit of something about him, and we should stick with Michael Carrick. I hear that. I think you have to wait and see how the season pans out before you make a decision. However, Luis Enrique is probably the one where you go, if you can get Enrique, you get him. And he won like 2 trebles or something at different clubs in different leagues, and one at PSG and one at Barca. So he's a very, very gifted manager. He plays good football as well. And I think if he's available, you should get him. However, I don't know if we'll get him. I think, and I'm not ITK, so don't quote me, he might end up at City. I think Pep might end up leaving City at the end of the season. I think a lot depends on what City do. I think if City don't win out, he might stay. He might want to go out on a high like Fergie did. There was rumours one that Fergie would have retired in 2012 had we won the league, but he waited another year because he wanted to go out as champions. And only Fergie could do that, couldn't he? Only Fergie said, we didn't win it this year, we'll win it next year, I'll retire then. And then we do, and he did. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Enrique, whether he is an option for Manchester United. If you can get him, great. If not, then I don't know. Let me know what you think. CJ James John says, De Zerbi will be an immigrant, Jay. Eddie Howe all the way, obviously referring to Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments. Andrew Rawlins says, surprise the owners want a foreigner. Carrick and Cole, let's go, says Stephanie Griffiths. Please hit that like button, please, people, as well. Kevin Credibly says, let's be honest, De Zerbi has done nothing to deserve the biggest job in football. I kind of agree with that, you know. I think you're right. I don't think there's anything on his CV where you go, he's a Manchester United manager. Now, you could say, well, Jay, what's Michael Carrick got on his CV to prove he's a United manager? If Carrick got the job, it'd be based on what he's done as caretaker. It'd be based on what he has done as Manchester United manager. It wouldn't be based on what he did at Middlesbrough, which was fine, but it weren't good enough to get the Manchester United job. It would be the fact that he's done well as a United manager, therefore keeps the job. That would be the reason that Michael Carrick got it. Of the other names mentioned, Ancelotti, can you get him? I don't know. He's getting on a bit. Would he want to come to Manchester United? Potentially. He's managed some of the biggest clubs in the world, and Man United would be up there with anyone he's managed, so you could go for him, I suppose. It would be very short term. I don't think you're going to sign Carlo Ancelotti on a 5-year deal or whatever. He's one who's got a CV, though, that is very, very impressive. Pochettino's CV's slightly less impressive, but it's okay. It's certainly better, I think, than De Zerbi. I don't think you can ignore the fact that he had Spurs in and around that top 4 spot for quite a while. Almost every year he was there, apart from one, I think, wasn't it, where they finished it sort of mid-table. But even that season, I think that's the season they got to the Champions League final. So, I don't know. Carl Davies says, I'm so happy. He was never the right guy for me. Epic Trolls and How to Force says, Baldy over there. What's it like to have no hair? That is disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself. Akash K says, can I dream here, Jay, and want Luis Enrique? You can want him. And listen, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Manchester United get Luis Enrique. Like, I don't think we can say, well, we're never going to get him. I just don't know if we will. It's like we could. It's just not just, it's certainly not nailed on we will, if that makes sense. Glazers out says, Carrick hasn't lost since Fergie Mourinho even lost. What has he done to De Zerbi the job? Sorry, I think, it's a pun. What has he done to De Zerbi the job? Says Terence Pereira. Yeah, very good. Let's talk about this Sir Jim Ratcliffe thing. We spoke about this last night. I don't want to dwell on it, right? But it is doing the rounds. I've just been on Sky News talking about it. Andy Burnham's the Mayor of Greater Manchester has put a statement out. Now, one thing I like about his statement, he's pushing back on what Sir Jim Ratcliffe says. If you don't know what Sir Jim Ratcliffe says, I don't know where you've been for the last 24 hours. He basically said that England or the UK is being colonised by immigrants and that so many of them are on benefits and all the rest of it. Quite inflammatory. A lot of people push back on it. A lot of people aren't happy with it and understandable. I don't think it's particularly helpful or accurate as well. Some of the numbers he quoted were just not true. It's been all this fallout. Keir Starmer's weighed in. Now Andy Burnham's weighed in. Now, you might not care what the Mayor of Greater Manchester says, but the one reason I think it does matter is because we're meant to be working together with the Mayor of Greater Manchester. I think he's even part of the task force to build the new stadium. So you probably need him on board. Now, I'm not saying this sort of stops that happening. I'm not saying that they fell out. They might still be able to get past it and work together. However, I don't think it's helpful. There was one good thing that Burnham said, or there's lots of good things you could say from this statement. One thing I like particularly from the statement Andy Burnham put out He said about at the bottom. He said, "We appreciate their contribution as a city region famous for the warmth of our welcome. If any criticism is needed, it should be directed towards those who have offered little contribution to our life here and have instead spent years siphoning wealth out of one of our proudest institutions." So a dig at the Glazers there from Andy Burnham, which I'm all about. Listen, regardless of what you think about Sir Jim Ratcliffe's statement or what you think about Sir Jim Ratcliffe, there's no denying that the Glazers have absolutely took hundreds of millions of pounds out of Manchester United, have saddled us with all this debt and have been nothing but bad for Manchester United. So I'm glad Andy Burnham is kind of surreptitiously there calling him out, but everyone can see what he's on about and what he means. And I think, we should never lose sight of the fact that we still want the Glazers. Well, I certainly want the Glazers gone. And I think most of the fans I speak to want the Glazers gone, regardless of whether you like Sir Jim Ratcliffe or not. Lots of people talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe. ZMed26 says lives in Monaco to avoid taxes. So, there's a bit of hypocrisy going on, I think, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And I just think that statement and those comments didn't help anyone, and it remains to be seen whether he's going to apologise like he's been asked to, or United are going to put out a statement. But as of yet, they've not done. We're just getting reaction. I think there was another reaction. I mentioned this last night. Statement from the Muslim Supporters Club. We've put this up. There's a lot of statements flying around from different supporters groups. There's a lot of statements flying around. I think the 58 did something. A lot of the sort of leading Manchester United fan voices, if you will, have spoken up about it. And I just think we should be talking about the fact United are looking good for the Champions League, right? That's what I want to be talking about. That's what I want to be focusing on. Not our owner or co-owner coming out with nonsense. Let's talk about owners. Avram Glazer is reportedly one of several bidders interested in two available Indian Premier League cricket teams. Either franchise would cost more than $1 billion. Is he just going to get a big loan? So why does Manchester United owner Glazer's interest make sense? Well, I don't think it does. Matt Slater, who's written that article, very good Matt Slater, I've had him on the channel, he knows his onions when it comes to finance. So I'll have a little look at that later and we can maybe get into it. I pity either of those franchises or those cricket teams that Avram Glazer is looking at. I would be very concerned if I was a fan of either, because Avram Glazer isn't a good sports franchise owner, if you allow me to use that sentence, at all. He's someone who's absolutely bled Manchester United dry, and I'll be glad the day we see the back of him, to be honest with you. I really will. Let's talk about a transfer rumour. Hey, let's get back to the good old days of transfer rumours. Never mind what your owners said. Never mind about whether Thomas Tuchel's going to be your manager. Let's get back to the nitty-gritty of transfer rumours. So here we go from Gimme Sport. Man United wants to sign best crosser in Europe in dream transfer coup. Oh, best crosser in Europe. Sounds all right, doesn't it? Manchester United are interested in signing Inter Milan left-back Federico Dimarco after the season, according to reports. Goes on to say the Old Trafford side are looking to bring in reinforcements on the left of the defence this summer and have reportedly identified Dimarco as their dream target. Dimarco could consider his options after the season, as he will only have 12 months left on his contract, which runs until the summer of 2027. The Italy international has previously been linked with several Premier League clubs, including Arsenal, why would he go there, who I believe to be long-term admirers. We need a left-back in the summer. We need someone, don't we? Because Luke Shaw has played every game this season and he's been, very effective, very useful, but can you rely on him? Also, you're going to have more games next season. We're going to have European football surely next season, even if it's not Champions League. You'd expect us to be in Europe, so there's going to be a lot more games. So you're going to need strengthening. No disrespect to Tyrone Malacia, but I don't expect him to play any more football for Manchester United. Harry Hamas has just picked up an injury, I know, when he was out on loan, which is unfortunate for him. Who else is there? There's probably someone I'm forgetting. But in terms of left-back, we need strengthening there on that left-hand side in general. I know Patrick Dorgu can obviously play there, but he's also one of the best attackers in the world ever. So do you want to stick him at left-back? Probably not. So according to Tutto Sport via Sport Winners, United have been dreaming of signing Dimarco for some time and are believed to be keen on a move after this season. The 28-year-old has been in exceptional form, registering 5 goals and 13 assists in 22 Serie A appearances, helping the Nerazzurri lead the standings after 28 games. Inter reported looking to extend his contract, but he could be available. So let me know what you think. Have you watched much of this lad? Chris says, isn't Dorgu our left back? He can be. I just feel like that's like putting Lionel Messi in goal. I think you're wasting him there. Put him near the business end of the pitch, yeah? Let him cook, as the kids say. That's where I want to see Patrick Dorgu. I'm gutted he's injured, you know. Hopefully he's back for Leeds. That's what the rumours are, aren't the reports. Get him back in the team to batter Leeds. That's what we need. Glazer out says Dorgu a winger. Yeah, I agree. Akash K says, I like Marco, but he's the wrong age profile. 28 is older than what Ineos tend to go for. We have this, it's not set in stone because I think Mazraoui was 27 when Ineos signed him. But the idea is that we go for under 25-year-olds, so they've got a bit of resale value if you need to do that. Also, you're going to get at least sort of 5 or 6 years out of them if you wanted to. So are they going to break that for this lad, for Dimarco? Maybe. But, oh yeah, Santonocci, who watches a lot of Italian football, says, believe me, he's no Maldini. Who is, to be fair. Someone, pundit KD, says, Ange said Spurs ain't a big club. Ange has been on Stick to Football, hasn't it? Very timely, right? I think he was meant to be on next week, but because Thomas Frank got sacked, they brought him in early. I think that's what happened. So he's been talking about Spurs, obviously. And it made me laugh because I've not watched it yet. I do want to watch it. But he was talking about the transfers he wanted. He said after the first season, his first season when they finished 5th, he wanted to buy, I think he says, Mbumo, Antoine Semenyo, and Pedro Neto. I think those were his targets, and obviously they didn't get any of them. But is he just sort of doing a bit of a Ralph Ragnick where he's like, I wanted to get Haaland and Diaz and all the best players. Tottenham are not a big club, he says. Well, there you go. That's what you want to hear from a former manager, innit, if you're a Spurs fan. Just a bit mental, innit, this season with managers as well, because he was at Forest. He got replaced by Sean Dyche, and Sean Dyche has now been sacked at Forest as well. So Marinakis obviously doing what he does best and just sacking managers. It'll be interesting to see who they bring in. I mean, they're just above the relegation zone, aren't they, at the minute, Forest? And he drew it home to Wolves. Imagine drawing it home to Wolves. Losers. Look, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be back later on today with Off the Bar. I think you've got all 4 of us. I think you've got me, Adam McCullough, Stephen Housen, and Mr. Joe Smith, of course. So make sure, if you're not doing so already, you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out the merch. Yeah, like the capitalist pigs we are. We sell merchandise. So check that out. There's a link in the chat. I've been Jay Motti. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.